What's going on, guys, and welcome to October's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month, and at the end of the month we talk about it, except for this month you guys picked the community pick Game of the Month, and we played it. That game was Helldivers 2, and we will be talking about it today. Of course, joining me today is Chevy. Chevy, you just got back from your trip from Japan. You were gone for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. How you doing? How was your trip? And are you excited to talk about Helldivers 2? Also, I'm Seth.
Also important.
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good. My sleep's kind of goofy because the time zone changed. So I thought I was good after the first day, and then I've had kind of a little bit of a roller coaster of sleep, but getting there. So feeling tired from that. But otherwise, it was a great trip. I would totally recommend it to anyone who can go because it's a lot of fun.
It's super cheap.
It's cheap to eat and drink there if you're coming with USD specifically.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I had a blast. We did Osaka, Kyoto, Nara, and Tokyo. I liked all of them, though I was I think the most comfortable in Osaka. It's got a real chill vibe to it. Plus, it does have a tourist area still. So. But yeah, I liked it all.
You said you probably wouldn't go back to Kyoto.
I loved Kyoto, don't get me wrong, but it is like so full of tourists that like, unless there's like something very specific I was going for, I don't know that I would prioritize going there. So
that makes sense.
But yeah, Osaka I loved. Tokyo is fun, but is massive. So I was there 11 nights, and it was not even close to enough time to explore it, so it's kind of crazy. Spent most of our time though in Akihabara, Shinjuku, and Shibuya. I can't remember. We went to 2 other districts. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but Chris wanted to get I forgot the name of it now. Shamisen. Mm-hmm. Which he's still waiting to be shipped here, but he did buy one while he was there. We got to talk to a lovely old couple that ran the shop and posted us on their Facebook page. That was kind of fun.
Yeah,
and then
that's cool.
We talked to a guy who makes his own masks, and Chris bought a kabuki mask. A kabuki? Maybe that's not the right word. He bought a wooden mask there, so it was very cool. He got a lot of comments on it on the way home, which I thought was kind of interesting. So.
The mask?
Mm-hmm. Oh, because he had it tied to his backpack, so he didn't have to put it in the bag, but also so it could still be carry-on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so a lot of people saw it, and he got comments on it constantly. So it's pretty cool. It's like a wooden mask, painted black with like red and I think gold, like highlights and stuff on it all over it. It was pretty cool.
It's good colors.
Yeah. Other than that, I for all the walking I did, I also did a lot of eating, so I net negative on my weight loss from all the walking. So
just fucking cut even, huh?
Yep. My last warning is there are you'll probably see jokes about all the stairs in Japan. That's not a joke. There's a ton of stairs. Like, be prepared for that. So
it's good cardio.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have someone to talk to on the channel because for 3 weeks I was like, there's like no video game news. There's nothing fucking happening. Right. Chevy's not here, so if I'm going to react to something, it's just going to be me doing it to make something. So
yeah.
And yeah, glad you had a good trip. So let's talk about, before we talk about Helldivers 2, which was your guys' community pick game of the month, we have to pick a new game of the month for November. It's already almost the end of the year. It's fucking crazy. With that, in case you're new here, we have a wheel. We're going to spin the wheel. Whatever it lands on will be our game of the month in November, which means we are obligated to play that throughout the month, and at the end of the month, review our experience with it, like we're going to do with Helldivers 2. And for anybody who can't see the screen right now, I'm going to tell you what games we have on this list right now. These are all back burner games. These are games that we personally want to play. We've agreed to put on this list, and hoping, gives us a reason to have to play this. Except for Worth mentioning, two of these games are your guys' runner-ups. They are on the list still. Those two games are Pokemon Infinite Fusion and Core Keeper, which were runner-ups that did not win, but, were runner-ups and made it. So, so the games are Armored Core 6, Tekken 8, Core Keeper, DayZ, Age of Empires 4, Earth Defense Force 6, Age of Wonders 4, the finals, Metaphor ReFantasio, which is something we just added because we both want to play it, and Pokemon Infinite Fusion. So, any of these games you hoping for in November?
Well, I have a great desire to play Metaphor, so that would be very convenient. But otherwise, I think I would be down to play pretty much anything on here right now. It would also be very convenient to get the runners-up done, so
Yeah.
the people who participate in that have a greater chance of seeing their games played. So,
Didn't that happen last year?
rapid fire.
Yeah, we got all three of them knocked out,
I don't expect that to happen again.
which was really fucking wild.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm hoping for the finals just because I play it every day anyway, so it'd be really easy for me. Metaphor, I really want to play right now, and I'm going to play it anyway, but it'd be nice to do it for the channel. Earth Defense Force 6 would be nice for me just because I have it. I want to play it, but it's not like a high priority compared to other games.
Yeah, same.
So it's just kind of chilling until I, maybe someone's like, hey, you want to play that? I'd be like, yeah. But, until, something forced me to play it, I'm not really going to play it. So it'd be a good excuse to do it. And yeah, I think the other game on here I don't want to win right now, but I want to keep it on the list because I want to play it at some point, is DayZ. I'm not really in a sim mood right now where you got to keep yourself alive. I'll play it for sure if it lands, but I'm just not in that mindset right now.
I feel like you jinxed us.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, but we'd finally knock it off the list,
That's
and
true.
it'd be interesting to play that with you because it's a game I feel like you might like as long as we're not playing on a PvP server.
Yeah.
I'll activate my server again if that's the case. All right, let's spin this and find out what we're playing in November. You ready?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to spin in 3, 2, 1, and go. It is spinning, and we are going to find out what we are playing soon. Randomly picked, and it is slowing down to... I think I know what's going to pick. Age of Wonders 4, which is an interesting one that I wasn't really expecting. For anybody who doesn't know, Age of Wonders 4 is a Civilization-style game that is fantasy-based. This is a game, I think, that came out this year, right? Or was that last year?
It might have been last year.
Yeah.
I know, we played it a little bit and then, got
Distracted.
sidetracked. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a game I always wanted to return to, so that'll be interesting for me. I don't feel like I'm really in the mindset for a game like that either, but that probably will change as soon as I start playing it. So what do you think about that?
No, I think it's great. I love 4X games. They are very addictive for me. So plus, it's been a while since I played something a little more on the slow pace side, so it would be nice.
Yeah, it's a game like that. It's lasts forever. That's a whole day's worth of playing something. So it'll be interesting to sit down and play a game and hopefully maybe finish it, because games like that I feel like you'll play for 6-7 hours and then you're like, let's take a break, and then you don't come back to that game. So
yeah, especially the more people you have involved, because obviously then there comes schedule conflict. So
yeah, definitely. Well, all right. We will be playing Age of Wonders 4 in November. Very interesting. All right, so with that, game we played throughout October. Well, we didn't play throughout October. You were gone for 3 weeks, and I played it once earlier in the month and
Same.
when you came back to make sure that we played together. So, but yeah, that game was Helldivers 2. If you can get a chance to play Helldivers 2, where you been this year? It was huge when it came out, and then it dipped for a second because people got really upset with them nerfing a bunch of weapons, and apparently right before we played, they patched it and buffed, I guess, all the fucking weapons. And people are happy with it, I guess.
there was also that whole thing with the login.
Yep. With you talking about the Sony thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's been in waves. I actually read up on it earlier today to see where it's at when it comes to the community, and people were asking why people hate this game now. And people are like, "Oh, we don't hate it. We just don't want it to be bad, so we're review bombing it." And I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense, I guess." But it was just funny to hear the person correct them, going we don't hate this game. So yeah, anyway, I didn't get a chance to play Helldivers 2. It is a co-op third-person shooter in which you play as Helldivers, going on missions on different planets, fighting against either insect aliens or robotic aliens, I guess, robots on planets. You have a bunch of weapons. You get to unlock a bunch of cosmetics, stratagems, which are used as basically abilities, dropping down self-automated turrets, weapon turrets that you can operate, grenade launchers, napalm strikes, orbital lasers. They can come down and shoot stuff. And yeah, you can drop down mechs. That actually was added after I stopped playing this before. So it was interesting to see those coming back to the game because that's how long I haven't played the game. But yeah, you go on to planets, you do missions, basic tasks. Mostly the game's main element of challenge is not getting killed by the enemies or the environments, but also your own teammates. This game has a really strict what's that called? Well, I can't remember. Team friendly fire. It's got really strict friendly fire. You get hit with something, you fucking die. So a lot of times in this game, you are getting killed by your own team, probably more often than the enemy. It seems like as long as you're not playing on a higher difficulty, has multiple difficulties, and yeah, what else? You can upgrade your ship, which serves as your hub for you and the people you're playing with different things that will enhance certain abilities going on missions, passives, and yeah, it's a third-person shooter and it plays a lot like Metal Gear Solid 5, which is definitely a good thing, in my opinion. We both played it, and let's start with you. What were your thoughts of Helldivers 2 in October?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, and similarly, I have not played since before the mechs released. I think there were 3, I can't remember what they're called, but it's basically like the battle passes.
War bonds.
War bonds. There were only 3 war bonds out at the time. Now there's like 6 or 7 or something like that.
There's only 2 war bonds when I played.
Maybe it was 2.
There's the main one, and then there was, I think you got it if you bought the special edition. Otherwise, you had to pay for it. I don't remember, but yeah, there's like those 2.
There must have been 2 then, yeah. So, anyways, there's a bunch now, and I see
it's like 6 or 7.
A lot of them, especially towards the I assume the newer ones, are like focused on like an element. So there's like I think it was an ice one or something like that, the fire, and a poison one or something like that.
Yeah, one I thought was like electricity or something, but I didn't investigate them too much.
I'm still working on the first one, so yeah, I also didn't check into them, and I know they cost I think it's like 1,000 of the premium credits, which you can technically get from playing. So
you have like 750 from playing so far, so
yeah,
I almost have
finished
enough.
out that battle pass either, where you get like you can buy like 20 on each page or something like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. So this is more of a just kind of a check-in / see what's new type of thing. I'm happy to say the game still plays great. The 2 factions are still there, which I thought was interesting because I could have swore they would have added a 3rd one by now.
Back when the game came out, there's a lot of things that were evolving. And it was like really exciting, and there's less speculation, especially from people like me who played the first game a lot, waiting for certain things to happen. There's a lot of things they were hinting towards, and then I took a break before the mechs came out, which was a while ago now. So I figured by the time I came back, something new would have been introduced outside of certain stratagems, which is definitely cool to see. It's like a toxic flamethrower thing that I think is part of one of the war bonds. So they've added some stuff for sure, and I think some of the maps are new. Some of them I didn't recognize, some of the planets, but maybe those were introduced a while ago. But yeah, I was expecting one of the other alien factions to show up by now. So that was an interesting surprise for me.
Yeah, and something else I was kind of expecting too was like other vehicle types, because I'm pretty sure there's vehicles in the first game as well. So
I thought those would be out too, just because when I was still playing there was all these leaked assets that were being shown on like TikTok, and so I know the vehicles are at least programmed in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I assumed they would be out by now with the mechs. I thought they'd come out after the mechs, and I didn't see anybody using them. So
Yeah, and I do wonder if some of that is delayed due to like because they've kind of had some hiccups, specifically with like the Sony account thing that happened.
well, and course correcting, because I watched, I think it was today, a video of people talking about that they fixed the game essentially, which I guess is a good time for us to be hopping back in. But they said they had nerfed a bunch of stuff, and then they had increased the damage on almost every weapon, because I think first off they're trying to appease fans. They want people to keep playing it, but I think they also realized that overbalancing the game like a games as a service type game might not be what people are looking for, and that they might just be looking for fun. Because I know a while ago too they nerfed like difficulty, because people were saying the game was too hard, and I think they made it easier on certain difficulties, and it kind of felt like that when we're playing. But then also, yeah, I think they buffed all the weapons. I think one of the things they said, like one of the weapons was like did 100 damage originally, and they bumped up to 1,000, so it was like quite an increase.
Yeah.
So yeah, with all that happening, they might have just prioritized getting shit right as opposed to just pumping content.
Yeah, and that would make sense.
Yeah. Except for War Bonds, there's a bunch of them now, so they're all pretty short though.
Yeah, after the first one.
Yeah, which is fine. That first one's chunky, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good for them to have a big one as your like quote unquote free one. So
yeah. Oh, 100%.
yeah, and these aren't necessarily negatives. They're just things I was kind of expecting, just based off of like very loose knowledge of the original game and some of the stuff I'd heard, during leading up to and during this game's life so far. Yeah, that being said, the like I kind of already said, the game's still very fun to play. It does seem to run smoother as well, which is nice because I know when I first played it, it ran fine, but there was a little bit of jankiness, specifically when joining into multiplayer hubs. That seems to be gone now, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, everything seems to work right.
Yeah.
I remember when it first came out, there was like a couple issues, especially with joining people's games and stuff.
Which I'm happy to see. I also noticed some of the planets were different, but that either could have been added while we were gone, or they were already in the game, and because of the nature of like how planets come and go, we just didn't see them when we played. But that was nice to see, even though I hate not being able to visibly see on the foggy planets. But it does add an element of difficulty, obviously, so that is a part of the fun.
And immersion, I like that all the planets have different feeling environments.
Yeah. I just, obviously, like when you're in it, it's very inconvenient. So
Yeah.
not like upset by it. It's just kind of a, okay, this planet, let's go, let's get it over with, type of thing. So, yeah, saw some new enemies. We only really fought. I don't think I did any robot fights this month, so it was bugs both times I played. But we saw flyers, which I don't remember before. They are very annoying. Imagine that, something that flies in a video game being annoying. Wouldn't have guessed.
Anybody who's been playing it regularly, that's not going to be new for them, but that came out after we stopped playing for the mechs, so yeah.
And then the Titan, was it a Bile Titan? No, it wasn't Bile. It was a certain type of Titan where they like put their head against the ground or something like that, and a bunch of tentacles would come out of the ground. And I don't remember seeing that before either. And so that was really surprising when we fought those.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, it was pretty much par for course. I really enjoy the fact that there's a bunch of objectives to do outside of just the main objective. And obviously, if you want a perfect score, you try to do all of them. If you're just trying to shotgun missions, you could skip them, which is nice. Or if you just, aren't paying attention, you call in the the drop ship because you're falling asleep at the wheel. That can also happen. So let's see. I played at the beginning of the month with just me and Chris, and we played on, I think, normal. I can't remember. I specifically had mentioned I didn't want to play on very hard difficulty because I needed to like relearn the game and controls and stuff, which I'm glad we did because at the time I was kind of like struggling trying to remember the buttons. And
yeah, I had bumped us up 2 difficulties because when we played on normal, I was like, this is way too easy, and it was always too easy for me, but I didn't know where everybody's at, so I wanted to make sure we all kind of got warmed up, and then I bumped it up to hard, and I was like, we could definitely do better, like more than this. So I bumped up to the one after that. I think it's very hard or something like that, or challenging. I don't remember what it's called, but we're playing on that.
Like 5 or 6, yeah.
And that seemed like a decent challenge. I feel like we could bump it up again, but we were definitely having some team coordination issues. I wanted to get a little smoothed out before we bumped up even further. But
yeah, we also kept playing. Randos kept joining as our fourth as well. So,
which is always hit or miss because they're not communicating with you. So they're most times just running off on their own somewhere, or throwing down some kind of fucking ordnance where I'm at and blowing me up.
I feel outside of like one person that we had join us and then just bail because they died like twice really quickly. It was pretty okay.
We had one person that played with us for like 3 missions that I think was actually playing pretty well with us. So
yeah, and then we had the guy who was I think they were like level 15 or something like that, and they were very impatient. And then when we didn't immediately get them back up because we were fighting something, they left. So
that could have either been impatience or embarrassment. 'Cause sometimes if someone's dying a lot, and
that's true,
the longer they're sitting there, that like they're trying to interpret like, oh, these guys are probably playing together. They probably fucking hate me, and they'll leave. That happens in like the finals and shit too. Somebody will like get like 1 kill most of the match, and they're dying constantly, and they'll just bail.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, it's fine. You can get, like, you don't have to be, the best fucking player ever. Just try.
True. And then we had a person after that. They was fine, so, which was nice to see because I kind of hesitated to play this game with people when it first came out because I don't like learning games playing with strangers most of the time. I usually want to either play by myself or with my friends. And by friends, I mean close friends, because even, and no offense to, because I'm sure they'll watch this, people who did play with us early on, that's pretty overwhelming for me when I'm learning a game to have people like hop in and then just want to like have a bunch of like chit-chatting happening. I can't function that way. So nothing against anyone. That's a me problem. So yeah. See, before this month, my weapon of choice was the auto shotgun, one of the early ones you get. I really enjoy that weapon, though this month I told myself I was going to use a different weapon just so I could have a different thing to talk about. I went ahead and I got, I think me and you were using the same gun, actually. I think it's called the Liberator or something like that. It's a machine gun.
Yeah, it's one of the weapons I used.
And that actually was pretty good. I also went with it because it has medium armor penetration, and because we were playing on higher difficulties, there are more armored things coming after us, so it just made sense to get something with some armor penetration. And then I played around with a couple more of the ordinances. Ooh, that's a word. I was going to try some of the poison stuff. I didn't realize like they were directly attached to one of the war bonds, so I didn't get a chance to do that because I wanted to try the poison drone. It seemed kind of interesting. So, yeah, other than that, I don't really have a whole lot more to add. It's a fun time. I don't really have any complaints about the game, other than I don't think I could play it all the time because it is kind of just a repetitive experience, but definitely a fun game to play, especially with friends. So,
yeah, I agree with almost everything you've said. When I first played this year, it was probably one of my favorite games of the year, and I think it still is, but it's not in my top 3 anymore. It might be in my top 5 of the year. I'm not sure. It's still a lot of fun. It's a really good looking game for what it is. I think the controls are really good. I love how movement works, how crouching and diving and just overall. I mean, it literally, like I said earlier, it plays like Metal Gear Solid 5, which I think is really interesting. But if you're gonna build a third-person shooter off of a template of another game, it's definitely a good one because the playability of that game was great. Yeah, so I played a little bit earlier in the month when you were gone, kind of playing with randos for a little bit to try and get myself reoriented with the game, trying to remember how to play it. And then by the time you got back, I had already kind of forgotten how. And so first like couple missions, I was trying to remember how to do everything, how to ping, all that kind of stuff.
Also, like me and Chris all had different control schemes. So
yeah.
I'd ask what a button was, and I'd get different answers from both of you.
That's
and they were
why
both wrong.
I always added the caveat. I'm like, mine is this. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's default. Because wherever I was at when I was first playing the game and changing all my controls, now I'm just kind of at the mercy of past me
Yeah.
deciding those things. Yeah, so the game is still a lot of fun. This is definitely my kind of game. It's right up my alley, a cooperative hub-based shooter where you go on missions, Deep Rock Galactic style. The game flow is a lot of fun, especially with friends. Playing with randos is fine. I had this problem when the game first came out too. I don't mind playing with randos in almost any game ever, but in a game like this where people can kill you so easily, and accidents are going to happen. It's not like any time I get killed, I get annoyed, but you'll play with randos and they are regularly doing things that will make the mission harder, whether it's by killing you or dropping like a napalm strike in a big pit where there's a bunch of the nests you got to blow up individually.
Yeah.
They'll drop one in there because they're in a fucking rush. They're running there and they throw it in there, and then it goes boom, and then it's just like lit on fire, and they only took out like one. And I'm like, so now we gotta wait until we can fucking get in there and take care of those. Like so yeah, playing with randos in this game is kind of rough, just because the game can when people are playing together really well, it's fucking awesome. Like it's a game that definitely feels great when teamwork's working well. But yeah, when you're playing with randos, you just don't get that. Although then you play with some people who are just like on autopilot and they're playing just fine. So it's rolling the dice, just like any game really. Just this game, there's a lot more to lose if they're playing badly. But playing with friends, a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing with you guys. There's some people in the Discord too that I meant to play with this month, but this month's been weird because you were gone and I've been doing a bunch of shit. So, but if you guys still want to play, let me know. We'll definitely do it because it's installed. I've been playing it again. I'm I remember how to play it again, so I'm more ready to hop in. Although I know everybody's playing Monster Hunter now, and I still need to play that as well. Yeah, where did I leave off? Graphics are good. Gameplay is good. Animation's really good. The gameplay loop is really good. I basically love everything about this game. To keep it simple enough, I think the stratagem system is awesome. I actually have mine set up where, and I saw somebody online do this when the game first came out, and I stuck with it. But originally, you hit like F, you open up your stratagems, and then for anybody who hasn't played this game for some reason, you use on PC WSAD to be up, down, left, right to call in your stratagems. You do combos, whatever. I set up my stratagem buttons on the up, down, left, right keys on my keyboard so that I can be running, hit F, and while I'm running with my right hand, let go of the mouse and type it in real quick. And that kind of gives me the ability to stay mobile while calling in stratagems. Because before I would stop and hit F and do it, and my guy would just be standing there, and I wanted to keep moving. So that's something that I like doing. How did I get on that? I just brought that up out of nowhere. I don't remember. Yeah, if there's anything that I would like to see them add outside of the things that we had speculated early on would be in the game already, even though I'm not upset that they're not. They never said that was coming, but
Right.
we want the other factions to show up. I'd like to see the vehicles, unless they are, and we didn't see them somewhere. I don't know. I think the game, I didn't feel like this when the game first came out, but now playing it again, I do kind of feel this. I would like to see more mission types, because the game does start to feel, especially once you get like most of the stuff unlocked, it starts feeling a little repetitive. And the gameplay is awesome. Like the gameplay itself, the shooting, the jumping around, the calling stuff in, the visuals of things exploding is all fucking awesome. But it'd just be cool if every once in a while they add just one more mission type. And then maybe later, a couple months, another mission type. And eventually that'll add up. It doesn't have to be like super dense with different kinds of mission types. But coming back to it, it still felt very samey in terms of the objectives we were doing, which is fine. But I was worried I was going to get burnt out when I was playing when it came out. And then coming back to it, didn't feel burnt out, but I felt like I could feel the potential of, if I'm going to grind and play the fuck out of this game, keep going, I'm seeing like level 5,000 people, wherever the hell the max level is, and I'm like, you guys are the true believers, man, because like I don't know if I could do that all, like, you know, eventually over time maybe, but yeah, it would be hard because I would get burnt out so quickly on just doing the same planets and the same mission types over and over and over again. Especially as you get less and less stratagems to unlock. Of course, your ship upgrades will take a while as well. I'm sure a bunch of people have those all unlocked by now, but I don't. So there's still plenty of stuff for me to do, but yeah, doing the same kind of missions over and over again is not. It's fine now, but eventually it won't be. But I am surprised to see how much content the game has in terms of like unlockables. There's like so many armor sets that all have different stats. I mean, a lot of them will have similar stats, but like different types, heavy, medium, light, or whatever. Different guns, plenty of guns I haven't unlocked through the war bonds. The mechs are out now, which is cool. Those are neat to see. Remind me very much of the mechs in the original game, except for obviously in a 3D perspective. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff to work towards. So if the game, for my slight complaint about the repetition of missions, which I still think are fine, and I like that they're simple, because in a game like that, where it's so chaotic, everything's fucking exploding, everyone's dying around, stuff like that, keeping the mission type simple, I like. But if that's like one of my small complaints about the game, the amount of things to work towards is awesome. Like, it's not a little bit. There's like quite a bit of shit to work towards. So that's cool. There's definitely something to grind for, even though it does feel like, I'm sure on like really high difficulties you get like all this XP and all this shit, but even on like whatever we were playing on, it was like getting like a third of an XP bar. Like, I don't know if it was a mission or completing all 3 missions or whatever.
I think it was per individual, not per set.
Yeah, it felt like it was taking a long time. So to get like a level, but
they kind of stopped mattering after a while, though. So
yeah. Well, level 25, I think, is when I think it's the last thing you unlock, or you're able to buy. I think the mech you get at level 25, and after that you're just leveling to level, I believe. But yeah, leveling felt slow, and like accruing resources to buy stuff and unlock like ship upgrades, stuff like that, also feels kind of slow.
Yeah,
but
those samples do increase on higher difficulties. So
sure. But well, that's why I wanted to play above hard, because there's a specific kind of resource that you can't get on hard that I needed. So I was like, I'm running out of things to work towards here. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed revisiting the game. This is definitely a game that I feel I would only be inclined to want to keep playing if I was playing with friends. This isn't a game I would want to hop into by myself and just play with randos. I kind of went over that, but just kind of re-emphasizing that. I really enjoyed my time with it, and I would like to keep playing it, but I don't think I'm going to be like grinding out on it and going crazy on it. Yeah, still super solid. Really enjoyed my time with it. Is there anything else to mention? Oh yeah, I hadn't played since before they added the flyers. Those are an interesting thing. I was kind of worried that they're going to be like really obnoxious, but they like go down really easy. So I appreciate that. It just adds like a new like variable of them in the air, which I like. But yeah, the balance seems good. Yeah, I think that's all I have to add on that. Got anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's jump into recommendations. What do you got?
Well, I mean, if you're into third-person shooters, specifically like fighting at swarms and stuff like that, if you're looking for a co-op game to play with friends, this game definitely leans very heavy towards that. You can play by yourself, but you're definitely doing yourself a disservice by doing that, especially in the resource gathering department. Yeah, Starship Troopers. If you like Starship Troopers, you're going to get a little bit of that here.
There was a Starship Troopers game, I think the fully released recently, but it came out in early access before this game came out. And it's pretty cool, but when this game came out, I was like, well, that game's kind of dead now.
Yeah.
Compared to this.
Well, and I don't know anything about that game, but like for me, I get that from this and Earth Defense Force, so I already kind of that itch never is too far away for me to scratch. So
Yeah.
yeah. If you like games that have a little element of chaos due to things like
Very
friendly
chaotic.
fire, this game is full of that. And like Seth mentioned earlier, not always intentional. Sometimes shit happens.
Shit happens for
So,
sure, yeah. It's just repeated habits
yeah.
that people aren't learning from that fucking annoys me.
Yeah, and accidents are hilarious when they happen. So like it's
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
It's just you don't want, like in real life, if someone's making mistakes and then they do it 7 more times, it's not funny anymore. So
It's like when it wasn't even like a friendly fire thing, but Chris like dropped his mech down, but he dropped it down where like the door to get into it was against a rock.
yeah,
And so it was just sitting there, wasted.
yeah,
And like, it probably wasn't fun for him, but like I thought it was kind of funny that like you can even call your mech in and then it's just
and
locked.
it's pinned. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, it was annoying when it happened, but it's also just like
Just
very
those random things.
very on point for the game. So can't really think of any other recommendations.
I feel like Deep Rock Galactic style games.
Yeah,
On that,
with less mining.
sure, but just like that 4-player cooperative
Right,
going
right.
on missions and extracting kind of game.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think you pretty much nailed it all. Feel like, oddly enough, did you say tactical games?
I did not.
Tactical shooters. It's not a tactical shooter, but it kind of is. Because you can kill the fuck out of each other, so you need to really watch your fire. And you can also get killed from like everything. I mean, if you fall too far, you can break your leg. I mean, it's kind of a soft tactical shooter. It's kind of weird. So yeah, if you like tac shooters, recommend it to you. Yeah, anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's jump into grades. I'm gonna, despite my complaints of repeated team kills, and which is just part of the game, and repetition of missions, I'm gonna give this game a soft A. I think it's really fucking solid. I think it's really good. I think it looks good graphically. I think the style is really good. I really dig how everything looks. I think the variety in scenarios in combat is like just crazy because it's so dynamic. So many things can happen. So replayability there is really good. Has a bunch of stuff to unlock, a bunch of ways to play, a bunch of strategies that you can use in combat. Missions can feel repetitive. So maybe that's what's holding it back from giving like a strong A or A plus. But the potential of this game, just like when it first came out, and now, there's so much potential in this game. There's so much they could do to just build this game up into like something that's just like completely amazing, and it doesn't really have a whole lot wrong with it. Especially now that we played and there was like no server problems, no multiplayer problems. It's like, almost a perfect game for me in terms of what it offers and the kind of games I like to play. Just has a couple slight issues, and this can be improved. So yeah, really soft A.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a very confident A minus. I have very little complaints about the game, if any, though I do think it has a lot of opportunity to grow still. And so I want to very much leave room for that. When you brought up the repetition of mission types, I completely agree with that. That's why it's like a game I would prefer to play occasionally and not like constantly, because constantly would be burnout for me.
I have friends on my Steam list who play this game all the fucking time still, and that's awesome because the game is fun. I'm giving it a fucking A, but I couldn't do that personally. It's just because like those mission types would wear on me pretty quick. So
yeah, and I don't want to feel that way when playing it. So
Yeah.
I just make the choice, obviously, not to play it so much. But I do think there's still a lot they could do with it. So
yep.
So yeah, I feel good at A minus.
And content wise, I mean, like I said, it's got a bunch of shit to unlock. It's like I was going through those war bonds. I'm like, man, they've added a lot of shit, and I still don't even have everything unlocked on the war bond. Well, I have one war bond complete, but the other one like I'm halfway through, and I was like, once I get those done, like I'm not even in a rush to get these new war bonds because I want to get these ones complete. And by the time I get those complete, I'll be able to buy a new one. I'll start working on that. And, you know, if I feel like it, I'll pay the money and buy the next war bond if I can't unlock it like naturally. Like there's just a lot of stuff to work towards. So, which is what you want from a game like this. I just, you know, the big Achilles heel to this game, in my opinion, for me personally, and you seem to agree, is just like just more variety of mission types, and it would be like primo. So
yeah, or you know, another faction that plays a little differently too, because like obviously
that'd be awesome too.
Get tired of bugs, you can go fight robots for a bit.
Yep.
And mix it up, which they're
very different.
They're very different, and your weapon types that are useful do change. So, which is great.
No, that's awesome. We didn't mention that because we didn't really do that this month. But in the past, like the experience of fighting the bugs versus the robots is completely different, and it changes your tactics, and that's it's almost like having two different games.
Yeah, well, because you go from being swarmed to like being shot at,
getting shot at, using shields and taking cover and all that kind of
tanks and all that other stuff. So,
yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there already, and if they added more, you know, factions that had different ways they fought you, that would just make the game harder. It would be harder to burn out because the variety would just go up. So,
yeah, agreed. Anything else?
Nope.
Let us know in the comments, what do you guys think about Helldivers 2? How do you feel about the current state of Helldivers 2 if you're playing it? Is it in a good place? Was it in a bad place? Were you one of the people who were protesting or, you know, hating on the game at the time? And what's your favorite thing to do in the game? How do you feel about the missions, the big thing we kind of talked about the most in terms of criticizing the game at all? What's your favorite faction to fight against? What do you think about the future of Helldivers 2? What do you want to see from it? And is there anything you know that's coming up in the game that we should know about? I have not been following the game at all. Let us know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Helldivers 2. But that's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you, Chevy, for joining me for this conversation. Also, welcome back again. We'll be doing Plus Club tomorrow. I know it's after the month, but because of everything this month, it's delayed by a day. But we'll be doing that. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to play those games. And I've been Seth. And until the next episode, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.